Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about distributing a single term, otherwise known as a monomial, into an expression with multiple terms, otherwise known as a polynomial. In order to help us multiply today, we are going to be using generic rectangles because if we are multiplying two things together, it's very similar to multiplying a base times height of a rectangle. So we can use that to help us multiply and distribute out these terms. So let's start with the first one. With this first one, we are multiplying a single term 3 by what we call a binomial since it has two terms, 2x plus 5. So we want to set up our generic rectangle as a 1 by 2 box. We will be putting 3, our single term, on the generic rectangle with the side length of 1. And we're going to split up the 2x plus 5 in our generic rectangle into the two separate boxes. So now we're just going to use our multiplication facts to help us multiply in to figure out what goes on the inside of our box. So first we have 3 times the value 2x, which is going to give us 6x. Then we have 3 times positive 5, which will give us a 15. So once we have multiplied into our generic rectangle, all we have to do is add the terms inside of our generic rectangle. So our final answer is going to be 6x plus 15. All right, guys, time for the joke of the video. So what I want you to do here in your notes section is write what you think the answer to this joke is, and when we come check your work, we'll let you know what the actual answer is. So here is your riddle for the day, or joke, whatever you want to call it. What do you call a dinosaur that is sleeping? So what do you call a dinosaur that is sleeping? Go ahead and write this down in your notes, whatever you think your answer is, then we'll get back to you. All right, second problem. So this one we're dealing with a couple more terms than the first problem. We are multiplying this single term 2x by a trinomial, since it has 3 terms, 4x minus 3y plus 7. This means we need to set up a 1 by 3 generic rectangle. So we have a 1 by 3. This guy's going to start getting big. That's totally fine. All right, so we have 2x on our single side, and then we have to break up 4x. We always keep the minus sign with the term that it is preceding or before, so that this can represent 4x plus a negative 3y, and then we have our positive 7 on the very end. So just like before, we are going to multiply to figure out the inside of a generic rectangle. And this is just going to help us with that distribution. So we have 2x times 4x. I know 2 times 4 gives me 8, and x times x is going to give me 8x squared. So for that term, I have 8x squared. Then we have 2x times negative 3y. Once again, I'm going to multiply the numbers first. So 2 times negative 3 is going to give me negative 6. And then there's no terms to deal with any exponents here, so I just have negative 6xy. And then finally, we have 2x times 7, which is going to give us a 14x. So just double check that you did not miss any terms and you have fully multiplied everything out. So now what we're going to do is write out our final answer. And when we write out our final answer, we are just going to add together all of the terms inside of our generic rectangle. So we have 8x squared plus negative 6xy, which we can just write as minus 6xy. And then finally, plus 14x. And so that is going to give us our final answer.